We got Vlad on the line. What do you want to ask him?
If you have any capital raising secrets or the best way that you found to capital raise.
Somebody told me this thing. If you want to raise capital today, start 2 years ago.
Sure.
And they are absolutely correct because
Yeah.
it's a relationship-based business. Like I said, my friends, not a single one, and I knew them for a while, invested with me. So you need to build relationships. And if I could go back like 20 years, learn negotiation and sales.
Hey, I'm Brian Briscoe, host of the Diary of an Apartment Investor podcast. And this podcast is different from everything else out there. I bring together new and aspiring investors on each and every episode and let the aspiring investors ask the questions that they need answered. And if you're an aspiring investor yourself, you probably have the same questions. So before you get to this episode that we have prepared for you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that little notification bell to make sure you get notified every time we post a new episode. And now, enjoy the show. Welcome to the Diary of an Apartment Investor podcast. I'm your host, Brian Briscoe. Very excited for today's show. We've got two great people on the line with us. We got my good friend Vlad. I'll let him say his last name for you in a minute. And then we got Sam White. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. And it's Arakcheyev. I know, right?
Exactly how it's spelled too. So I don't know why I didn't come up with that. So, well, Vlad, you're up to bat first. So let's talk a little bit. And first of all, I will tell everybody that when you finally meet Vlad in person, he's taller in real life than he appears on Zoom. I'm about 5'10", and I'm looking straight across. I'm looking at you eye to eye here. But anyway, he's a little bit taller. But anyway, Vlad, aside from that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so yeah, I am 6'3", but yeah, so I'm a little bit taller. Anyway, I am in Jersey, and I'm a real estate agent here in New Jersey as well. That's how I started my real estate career.
Okay.
I was a graphic designer, had nothing to do with real estate whatsoever, and just decided to do a whole 180 and started to do a little bit of real estate. My wife pushed me towards real estate. She did a lot of pushing. About 6 months worth. And finally, I got a chance of seeing the potential of real estate, even from being just a regular residential agent.
Yeah.
And that's how I started my real estate journey.
Awesome. So did you design your own logo, by the way?
I did not know. I got somebody from another website.
Like Fiverr or Upwork or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. It looks cool. It does. I mean, for those of you who aren't on YouTube, his logo looks like an umbrella, over, a bunch of, apartment with his company name on it, but it looks slick. So I'm sure you gave the designer, all the, this is what I want you to do. And how you probably, painted the picture very well for him.
Yeah, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and just kind of gave it to him, because what I used to do is make billboards that you see on the side of the highway.
Okay.
So it's something completely different than this.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. So your wife pushed you into real estate in general. You were a realtor. So tell us how it progressed. How did you go from where you were to getting into multifamily?
Yeah, it's just been a completely crazy journey where I started doing the real estate work, then I started flipping and wholesaling, and ultimately realized that it was not enough. If you stop producing, if you stop reaching out, basically all your leads dry out, right? Yeah. You always gotta keep on going like a hamster in a wheel. So next thing I wanted to do is buy some rentals.
Yeah.
Got some single family here in New Jersey. They worked out well. Why I say worked out, because I sold them recently, but I realized that if you get one and somebody leaves, you got 100% vacancy, right? No income coming in, and all the expenses are falling on you. And additionally, in many cases, in addition to being a landlord, you're like a handyman. I got a call, believe it or not, to chase raccoons off the roof. And I'm like, you can't be serious. You want me to climb up there and chase raccoons? So after that, I realized this is not for me. I don't want to do this. I'm a business person.
Yeah.
So let's grow. Let's go big. And I went to a multifamily conference in Houston. And I was really skeptical because I was really scared, right? I didn't know anything about multifamily.
Yeah.
And my transition from single family space to multifamily was maybe 6 to 8 months. I really wanted to scale as fast as possible. So went to the conference, saw about 800 people. It was MFIN in Houston, and my eyes were opened
Yeah.
about all the generosity of multifamily investors. And I mean, they're just like regular folks, just like, oh yeah, I got $5,000. And I'm like, oh my God, how's this even possible? Apparently it's possible, and it's not that difficult if you know how to connect with people, you educate yourself, and you put your head down. So
Yeah.
after that, I came back home, and my first goal was to educate myself because I didn't know anything about multifamily whatsoever. Started looking for mentors because, in my opinion, education is everything, and started looking, interviewed everyone, about 8 of them, I think, one of the big ones anyway,
Yeah.
that I knew of, and picked Jake and Gino. It's a multifamily community, and I started, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. All this
It always is.
information,
Yeah.
it's crazy. The first time I opened the model, my jaw just like dropped, and I'm like, what is this?
Like there's
And
16 tabs on this spreadsheet. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I was about to say the same thing, and I'm like, oh my God, look at these numbers. And my wife said, no, 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 look at the bottom. It has like 16 tabs. I'm like, 60, what? I almost gave up because I'm like, how can I learn this? It's
Yeah.
impossible. But slowly but surely, by contacting other people, and the good thing about a community is I picked as my market Texas, Kansas, and the Carolinas. I connected with people there. We
Yeah.
started underwriting together, asking all kinds of stupid questions. And eventually it took, I would say, 6 to 8 months for me to get up to speed and kind of go with the flow and at least understand what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's a process.
Yeah.
It's not fast at all. You just gotta keep on grinding and be patient.
Yeah. It's something you mentioned, I didn't know of very many coaching programs. I went with the first one that I found, and it was just like going back at it, it worked, would there have been a better one for me? Maybe, I kind of wish that I knew of 8 at the time, but I went with one, it worked, and I think a lot of the things that you talk about were exactly what I saw too. So this is it's a long game. I think a lot of people turn back early because it does take, several months before you can start getting traction. And then, up to a year for a lot of people, or sometimes longer before you get your first deal. So it ends up being kind of a marathon just to get through that learning process. But yeah, thanks for going through the steps. And so so how long did it take you from getting to the coaching program? We'll call that you're hitting the start button on the stopwatch. Why is it called a stopwatch instead of a start watch? I don't know, but good question. How long did it take you to get your first deal?
Yeah, it took 8 months approximately. So it's been, what happened is everybody was asking me to be an LP. I didn't want to be an LP. I wanted to do JVs and be a co-GP. And the reason is because I was confident that I had enough background and knowledge in single family space that I could provide some sort of value to people, either by raising capital or, I don't know, doing asset management, even though I thought that, I could, but no, I could not. It's just so much more involvement. I was very let's say bold on my goals. I thought, oh yeah, I could raise 1 million, no problem. Oh boy, I should have really like checked myself. But ultimately, it took 8 months, and all you need is one. And after one, it just snowballs.
It
It
does.
really does. Yeah. So what happened is, I'll be really quick on this one. So somebody asked me to be an LP in a deal, 200 doors in San Antonio. I said no. And it was somebody part of the community. And they called me back a few weeks later and they go, listen, can you raise capital? I'm like, oh yeah, sure, absolutely. It's a piece of cake. Of course.
Of course I can. Yeah.
And they're like, well, if you think so, how about you interview with the GP team, with the operators, and see if you can raise capital for them. So we talked, and we really clicked. So they're like, yeah, let's go. And it was a 5 or 6C deal, so I could advertise everywhere, and that's what I was doing. I was advertising on social media, on Zoom calls, everywhere. And I got nowhere. Even my friends did not invest with me. Not a single person. And they got money. I know they do.
Yeah.
Because some of them are business owners, some of them are doctors and IT people. And they're like, well, Vlad, you're a graphic designer. What are you doing this stuff for? When are you gonna, go back to the Photoshop?
Yeah.
So that's the most difficult thing, converting yourself from your previous career to the new career. So I started learning and giving real estate advice to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, how's the market in Jersey? How are the rates doing? How's the market in Texas, Kansas City, the Carolinas? I was everywhere.
Yeah. And
And
that's something a lot of people face, and it's something that I face. I think the most common question I got was, wait. I thought you were in the military, and it's like I am, but this real estate deal is it's a really good deal, but did you retire? Yeah, I mean that's exactly the problem I had too, where people still looked at me as Brian the Marine and not the real estate investor, and you were Vlad the billboard guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
it takes time for people to realize, but with enough persistence and putting yourself out there on social media. Hey, listen, on social media before real estate, I had like 2 posts, and there were posts of like, my the food that I ate in the restaurant. That's about it. Now, oh my God, if you're not posting, you're missing out on a lot of potential clients and, of
Yeah.
course, a lot of information there.
I'll tell you though, along your point in posting, with it takes time to change the mind of people who already know you. All right. But if you can position yourself well on social media, the people that meet you are already going to look at you as Vlad, the real estate investor, or Sam, the multifamily guy, or Brian, the real estate mogul, right? Or whatever it is, right? But yeah, I think that's the power of social media is you can work on branding yourself and rebranding yourself on social media all the time. So, but cool. So 8 months to get into your first deal. Let's continue with that story. How did that capital raise go?
Oh yeah. So I got nowhere whatsoever. I didn't give up though. Basically, I had 3 weeks to go. And I remember this day I was on a podcast, not on a podcast, on a Zoom call, and I was just blasting this deal all over the place. And one guy goes, I have a 1031 exchange and I need to place my money somewhere. Can we jump on a Zoom call and you tell me all about it? So we did. And his 1031 was $1 million. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the most amazing thing ever.
That's awesome.
I was
Boom.
so happy.
Yeah.
I was, I don't want to say it, but I was counting the money, the acquisition fee and everything. And it's my first deal. And I was so pumped. And guess what happened last September? When all the rates were going up like crazy, 75 basis points every month, even more. Banks were just afraid of everything. The lender pulled out 2 weeks before closing.
Oh my. Yeah.
We tried finding a different lender. We did, but at the rates were not the same. We could not guarantee or target the returns we were looking at, and the deal fell apart. All the investors, of course, got their money back.
Right.
Everything got returned. Nobody lost a single penny. So we were successful on that end. But the unsuccessful part is that the deal did not close. But I don't consider that an unsuccessful part because it happened for me, not to me. So I learned so much during that process. And even this, some can consider failure. It wasn't. It snowballed immediately into a second deal 3 weeks later, which closed. It's a JV opportunity in Bradenton. And now we're in the process of rezoning 8 acres of land to build 96 apartments.
Nice.
So it's huge. So it immediately snowballed. And now I have 4 JVs and 4 co-GPs under my belt.
Nice.
And one last one that we closed a month ago was 128 doors in Dallas. So I'm
Wow.
very happy over that one.
Yeah. And I tend to look at these also not as failures. I think the only time it's really a failure is if you fail to learn and grow. I mean, it was a nice warm up. And I think for you, it was a kind of a wake up call where, hey, raising $1 million isn't as easy as I mean, it doesn't sound easy either. But yeah, I think I had a similar thing. I actually didn't think I'd be able to raise any money. And turns out I was better at it than I thought. But most people have a similar experience with raising capital. They come in out of the gate thinking I can hit 500,000, I can hit 1 million. And most people have kind of a rude awakening, when they start asking people for money or asking people to invest. So anyway, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that a lot. So let's transition it slightly. And I like to hear about people's motivation, their why. So Vlad, what is your big burning why?
Yeah, the biggest thing was it happened during COVID, basically, and that's how my real estate journey started. I got furloughed.
Yep.
I have a house, a mortgage, wife, 2 kids, 3 cats, right? And I didn't know when my next paycheck is coming from or where. I didn't know. Gotta feed those cats, right?
Yeah.
They're pretty hungry. So, and the biggest thing is, why do I rely on somebody else to control where my money is coming from or where my ultimately it's not even the money, it's the time.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, even if you earn your vacation, you have to go to your boss to ask if you can take a vacation. And when somebody told me this, I'm like, oh my God, it's true. How can that be? You earned it. And in many cases, your boss can say, nope, you can't take the vacation.
Yeah.
It's the busy season. Can't take it. You have to wait. So I want to be able to control my time. I want to leave at any time I want. Just go on vacation at any time I want.
Yeah.
Spend as much time with my kids. So my true why is time.
Yeah.
This is my biggest. I mean, they ask, what's your wealth? Like, define wealth. In my opinion, it's time because you can never get that back.
I think most people, when you really boil it down, if you go several levels deep, people talk about, I want passive income. I want, but when you really drill down, it's time and it's ability to do what you want with your time. We were born wanting to be free and wanting to be more. So yeah, I agree. It's all about time. All right. So let's go. So you mentioned 4 JVs and 4 co-GPs. Do you want to pick one and tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I'll pick one that I think it's my baby because I found it. I went direct to seller.
Nice.
And yeah, I called somebody in Kansas City and I got a guy. He's old, about 75 or so.
Yeah.
Want to retire. And I was there, hey, listen, how about you want to sell your property to me? And he didn't believe me. He even hung up on me and he goes, I'm blocking you. You fake. You got a weird accent. You're calling from New York. Come on. And he really blocked me. So I got a Google Voice number. I call him back and they go, listen, what can I do to show you that I'm a real buyer? And he's like, well, then how about you meet me in the Starbucks tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'm like, okay, no problem. At this time, 8 months into my mentorship, I had somebody already in Kansas City, other people, other team members, boots on the ground. And I said, hey, listen, how about you give me some financials? And he didn't. I'm like, okay, just give me NOI, give me something. So he gave me an approximate NOI. We were underwriting the deal already based on, nothing, just average ballpark figures.
Yeah.
At the same time, I call my partner, Joe. He lives in Kansas City. And I'm like, Joe, listen, I got this deal. Might be something good. And he goes, yeah, absolutely. Let's check it out. I'm like, meet this guy at 10 a.m. tomorrow in this coffee shop. Just tell him you're from Vlad. These are the numbers and that's it. So next day rolls around. Literally it was that fast. Next day rolls around. 10 a.m., 11, 12. I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
Joe calls me back and he goes, we buying the deal. I'm like, what do you mean? You signed the contract? He's like, no. He just shook my hand and he said, you local? I want to sell to a local person. I don't want to deal with any quote unquote outsiders that are going to change the community. I want somebody that lives here, understands the values of Kansas City and the market. I'll sell to you. And that's exactly how it happened, like the craziest thing ever. We purchased it in December. And the way we purchased it was just unbelievable too.
Mhm.
At the time I was in Dallas, and they asked me to sign paperwork, and I was just running back and forth trying to sign it. And
Mhm.
any acquisition in real estate is
Yeah.
just a complete roller coaster.
Mhm.
Nothing goes smooth. Doesn't matter how much you try to make it smooth. You just kind of go with the flow and just have
There's
fun.
always something that happens, Let's see. Can I talk? Yeah. So I'm signing papers today on a deal that'll close Friday, and I hope there's no more hitches. But we got the approval. We're assuming a loan. We got the approval for the loan, and 5 days, 5 business days before we're supposed to close, they tell us that they want $85,000 in reserves that the lender keeps. And it's just like, okay, 85,000. 5 days. All right, good. And it's just one of those things where, you weren't planning on it. They're like, yeah, we approved your application. Here's, but there's always something, this is just the
Always.
latest something. There's always something that slows things down, whether it's the lender, the title, anyway, always something.
Because
So
there's so many people involved,
yeah.
right? It's a combination. In multifamily space, like this deal, 5
Mhm.
people involved, and they live everywhere.
Yeah.
One in New York, I'm in New Jersey. Somebody lives, I think in Florida.
Mhm.
One in the Midwest, and one in. I mean, everybody gotta come together, FedEx all the papers in one place, and do the power of attorney. Plus, you have the LLCs. Everybody got
Mhm.
LLCs that they invest in. But the cool thing is that you're not alone. It's a
Mhm.
team effort.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. A lot of people are missing it, and they think they get it. You have to do everything. You don't.
Mhm.
You do one part that you're really, really good at, that you're
Yeah.
awesome at, and you delegate or speak with the others and be like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to be responsible for? Also, ultimately, it's a team effort. In my opinion, it's easier to scale in multifamily than single family.
Mhm.
Another example, we bought 40 doors, right? One
Mhm.
closing. How many closings do you have to go through if you buy 40 single family houses and you have all these variables? I mean,
Yep.
really, if you think about it.
Around
So
40
it's
is the answer,
exactly. So it's
Oh,
much easier to
yeah.
close one than to close 40.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I think, man, there's so many things that are easier when you get to multifamily. And, if you're doing single family, here's the problem that I had up front is with single family, I was always scrambling to get the down payment. It's like, okay, 20% down. And the biggest constraint I had was how long it took me to get that down payment. But yeah, with multifamily, we syndicate. We come together as a group, and of course the general partners are going to have money in the game, but I don't have money in every single deal I'm in. All right, I have money in most of the deals that I'm in, but talking about that scaling aspect, when I'm doing single family all by myself, what's the biggest thing that I have to do is save money for that next deal, and it might take me a year or 2 years to get that down payment built up. But anyway, yeah, I agree 100% on that one. So that's a great story. I love it. I hadn't heard that before. I'm glad you picked that one. So, got the Kansas City deal, got that under wraps. How's it been since?
It's been great.
Mhm.
I know that everything is going up, the rates, insurance, and everything, especially in Houston, we're underwriting at 1,500 per
Mhm.
door. I understand,
Yep.
but not everything is smooth sailing.
Mhm.
You're not going to go 50 miles an hour on a freeway without any traffic, right? You're going to hit traffic. So just shift lanes, adjust, and still keep on buying. You
Yeah.
see other operators are buying, not sitting on the sidelines. Yeah, maybe not as active. You just got to underwrite correctly, look at the debt correctly, operate, maybe be a little safer
Mhm.
than previous because we're in a different cycle now.
Yeah.
So it's been fine, I think. The deal flow decreased, yes, but at the same time, I still see potential. Deals are out there, brokers are coming back. Like I said, we just closed 128 doors
Mhm.
30 days ago in Dallas, and
Wow.
right now we're working on another project. It's a small one, but it's also 506C, but it's a small one, just 62. It's a
Yep.
nice one. They're coming in, so we just underwriting, submitting a lot of LOIs. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's all
I
about.
love, I'm going to steal that example later, that traffic example. You're not going to, you can't put your cruise control. I like to go faster than 50. You can't put your cruise control on 75 on a freeway and expect to maintain that speed. I love that example. I think that's so appropriate too.
Well, I'm in New Jersey. It's all
Yeah.
55. So
Yeah. Well, I'm, out west, I mean, the freeway, a couple miles from my house, the speed limit's 80, just
wow.
because there's a lot of road in the middle of nowhere, and so talked about your why, we talked about a deal, we talked about your background. Okay, here's what comes next. What's next for you?
Yeah, what I'm looking for now is one of the big things. I'm still concentrating only on multifamily. So right now we're closing on this deal, and there's going to be another one that we potentially looking at in Houston. I'm not sure if it's going to pencil out or not, but still we're very confident on this deal. But my biggest thing right now is working on my brand. It's super simple. Just put yourself out there and people will recognize you and bring you deals, right? So if you speak with brokers, they're like, oh yeah, I know you from this guy and that guy, and I seen you there. So as you grow your brand and grow your credibility in the space, you close down more deals. Brokers will bring you deals, also going, of course, direct to seller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm working every day, literally underwriting, I would say 10 deals, maybe more per week. We're very, very active in this space.
Nice. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit and bring Sam on the line. So Sam, welcome. How's it going?
Feeling good. How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
I'm excited to learn more about you. That's how I'm doing. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, first off, Vlad, that was awesome so far. And Brian, thank you for having me on as well. A little bit about me. I'm Sam, moved here to Oklahoma City from San Diego about 10 months ago. My wife is an ER resident, so we will be here for a few more years, and I absolutely love it. So it's been cool so far. I moved right after finishing up my master's in commercial real estate at the University of San Diego. So want to be a big bad developer one day, but of multifamily. But that's where I'm at. So
cool.
Yes.
So trying to get into the field and in Oklahoma City. So are you looking in Oklahoma City, or have you decided what markets you're going to be in yet?
Yeah, so if you had asked me a year ago in April when I first flew out here, when I found out we were moving here, if I would ever invest in Oklahoma, I would have said absolutely not. And now, I look around, I drive around, and I just see immense value here. It's ridiculous. I think the city's growing immensely. There's a big basis of renters here. More people are moving here every day. I just saw some Arizona license plates, and that's new. We see a lot of Texas. You see California for sure. So yes, this will definitely be one of the markets.
Yeah, I think it's a solid market. It's one of the states that I think for a long time kind of got overlooked, but there's a lot of good dynamics in that state, in Oklahoma City especially. We actually have 2 properties under contract in the state, none of them in OKC yet, but it's a market that I'll eventually be in. So, well, cool. So one question I love asking everybody, definitely my favorite question on the podcast: what is your big burning why?
Yeah, so I love the multifamily space. One, so you're investing in people. Everybody needs a home, but making sure that they have a safe, nice environment. And then 2, on the financial side, I think again, as Vlad mentioned earlier, it does allow you to kind of control your own schedule. My wife and I love to travel, and I think that will always be a thing. And then 3rd, and most importantly to me, I love to be able to give. So as much as I really want to do and be as successful as possible, being able to give back to others. I work with foster children back in San Diego, aging out of the system. So that is something that is super important to me, to be able to kind of make that smooth transition. I was very, very fortunate to have a family transition to me to college, transition to me to marriage and moving and all that kind of stuff. So if you don't have that, that backing as much, I think you can definitely at least help out financially. So
I love it. Good cause too. So awesome. Well, hey, Sam, we're going to try to do our best to help you with, real estate and your why. So we got Vlad on the line. What do you want to ask him?
Yes, got a lot of questions for you, Vlad. You presented a little bit earlier, but I think first and foremost, You talked about your deal structures a little bit, but I want to know about your first one. Was that, I guess, maybe the $1 million you had to raise, but, talk me through a little bit more if you could.
Yeah, the first one, it was a syndication. So what happened
Yeah.
is like I said, I got offered to be an LP on a deal. It's one of the things that you can do. They say earn while you learn. Thought that since I already paid to be in a multifamily community, I knew.
Yeah.
I knew enough. Plus, in addition, my wife has a financial background, so she could back me up as well. So we were positioned very well, so we wouldn't have to be LPs. I was looking to be an operator to learn to be very hands-on.
Yeah.
So as soon as I was given an opportunity to be in this deal and be a co-GP, I started learning all these processes, like learning software, Sana, syndication software. It's a really cool process for me, not just, raising capital, but also learning and also being on calls with other investors and seeing the questions and learning the objections. That's the big thing, because on the first call, I'll never forget, on the first call, somebody goes, "Why you're removing 2 trees?" And I was like, "Is that really a valid question?" And they're like, "Yes, everything is a valid question when you give somebody $100,000. It's a valid question." So it's a huge learning opportunity. So never pass up if somebody gives you an option or a chance to raise capital or be just a fly in the wall and just learn. Yeah,
Right.
that's just my thing.
Thank you for giving me that. I think that I guess segues to my next question. If you have any capital raising secrets or the best way that you found to capital raise, whether Facebook groups or outside of the people essentially. That's it.
Yeah, what somebody told me this thing. If you want to raise capital today, start 2 years ago.
Sure.
And they are absolutely correct, because
Yeah.
it's a relationship-based business. Like I said, my friends, not a single one, and I knew them for a while, invested with me. So you need to build relationships and not just, it's like a sales call, right? When somebody calls you, they're like, "Oh, would you like to buy this?" Your immediate thing is no.
Right.
But when somebody just calls you and just speaks with you, really, when you go to a doctor, they ask you, "What's hurting? Why are you here?" They're not just like, "Oh, here's Advil, go away." You have to find out people's why. Why do they want to invest? How they invested before? In my opinion, even when you raise capital, you should take some sort of classes, some sort of courses. And the most important thing, what I found that is, and if I could go back like 20 years, learn negotiation and sales. Your whole life is negotiation and sales. So
Sure.
if you want to know how to actively listen, not just listen, but listen, then you will uncover so much more information. And that's what I'm lacking, actually. So I'm really active in this space where I'm learning how to listen and learn negotiation skills.
Yeah, I think that's all important. I would add to that, make sure you have the systems as well, so something that I've probably left millions of dollars on the table from not having a really good follow-up system.
Absolutely.
That's something that we are, very much working on right now. You talk with an investor right now, and hey, I'm not ready now, but I'll be ready in 6 months. You need a way to follow up, a way to continue to build the relationship. Even if that person is ready 6 months later, if you haven't spoken with them in 6 months, the small chance they're going to wire you a lot of money. But end of the day, the systems to be able to do the follow-up properly, to continue to build the relationship, have to be there as well.
Follow-up is, I'm working on it right now. It's such a difficult thing. Getting a proper CRM and following up. If they say call me in 6 months, call them in a month. Just be like, "Hey, just want to chat. How was everything?" So it's that's another toughie where you have to kind of follow up.
Figure out the systems. Yeah. And then Vlad, do you presently invest as an LP, or are you sticking to the GP thing? I know you mentioned before.
Yeah, I'm doing the GP for now, JV and GP. What I found out is when you do GP, since the team is so much larger, in many cases, the deal that we just closed, vertically integrated. So I'm not going to do a lot of asset management. I'm just doing investor relations. You're not doing too much, right? So if you go in for the learning opportunity, you can do it smaller JV, let's say 40 doors, 50, 30, 20. You'll be much more involved and learn at much faster pace. From asset managers, just ask them, hey, I want to be on all the asset manager calls. And they'll allow you. It's no big deal. And right now I'm doing 3. So I'm learning a lot when it comes to asset management, replacing roofs. Right now we just doing signage, fixing things, small things like that. You really learn a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, I think when it comes to learning opportunities, JVs give you more because you're more involved.
Yeah. Yes. And smaller, I'll say smaller deals. I mean, Vlad mentioned that too, but if you're working with newer syndicators, you're more likely to be integrated as part of the team, So if you, I mean, let's say that you were able to partner with Grant Cardone, a name a lot of people know, is he going to bring you in on his team? No, he's already got his team set up, he's already got all his operations, right? So if there's pros and cons to both directions. If you're bringing investors in, it might be better for your investors and easier for you to raise money if you're partnering with a large syndicator. But on the flip side, if you're looking to learn, go towards JVs, go towards smaller syndications. And, as far as you mentioned the LP dollars, most of my dollars that are earmarked for LP investing are going into the deals that I'm also a GP on, so. Sure. Lots of reasons for that. I'd love to eventually get to the point to where I can invest in everybody's deal all at the same time, but I'll probably invest in 5 or 6 deals per year, and most of those are deals that I'm in.
Yeah. Good stuff. And then I guess for the both of you, what is the best use of my time to lock down a syndication in the next 2 to 3 months? Should I, obviously I can jump into a GP group, and should I offer I come from an asset management, development management background, but what's the most intriguing thing about an individual like myself? Is it the capital raising? Is it the asset management? Is it, what is that? That helps.
Yeah, you can do several things. Well, since you're in OKC, it's a great market. So you can connect with operators who are buying there, and you can be their boots on the ground.
Sure.
In addition, since you have asset management background, you can walk the properties and you can point out a few things for them. So it's a big opportunity. Like I'm in Jersey, right? And who's buying in Jersey? Well, not me, so I can't be boots.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can't be their boots anyway because I'm not gonna buy in Jersey. But I know people that are buying in OKC, so you can do that. And in addition, of course, the biggest thing everybody's looking for because of the rates and how the leverage is, raising capital. That's one of the big things that a lot of people are looking for. So if you have an opportunity to raise, let's say 500,000, you can pretty much guarantee, I shouldn't say guarantee, but pretty much guarantee a spot on a GP team.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would say, I mean, your question, what can I do with my time? I would say the fastest way to get yourself to where you're ready is through a coaching. Find a coach, find a mentor, find somebody who's been there already, and that's going to accelerate, whatever you're able to do. And then I agree with Vlad. I mean, the fastest way into a deal right now is to be able to raise capital. You can bypass, the calling brokers. I mean, basically at that point, you can start looking at deals that have a signed LOI already or that are under contract already and determine which one you want to invest in. So, just because it's already under contract, it's going to be faster to get in. And the other thing is there's a lot of people that need money, right? So give you an example. I'm looking at my board next to me. One of my partners and I, we come in as key principals on a lot of deals. And almost every deal that's on my board next to me, if you could bring in 500,000 into those deals, you're in. So I'll let you take your pick of the deals. Just if you could bring in 500,000 into any one of those deals, you're in. So if you're looking for the fastest way to go and collect your $200 in this case is raising capital.
So gets
It's a little
all
more
on
than
the capital raising.
$200.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be more than
Yeah.
200. You're right. You're right.
But
Like
yeah,
that sounds
definitely. That's
yeah,
one of the big things.
Yeah.
yeah.
Try to raise
It's
money.
All
the
right.
$200 gift would be quite the gift for the GP team if I raise the
Yeah, I
money.
mean, it was probably you got $200 when you pass and go.
Sure.
I was a kid,
Yeah.
so I mean, inflation somewhere along the line should have kicked in and raised that number up. But
Yeah, a little bit.
anyway, we are about out of time. So one last question for each of you, Vlad. You get to go first. How can listeners learn more about you?
Oh yeah, please reach out to me. You can find me anywhere. I'm on all over social media, on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. So reach out to me. Let me know if I can help. If I cannot help, I'll make a connection because I'm like I said, I'm part of a big community. They buying and being active all over the place. So even if I can't, or like you buying in a, let's say, storage or ground up development, I know people that do that. So
Awesome.
yeah, reach out to me. I'm always here to help. I'm very happy to give back to the community that gave me so much. So I'm always here.
Love it. Perfect. Thank you. And Sam, same question for you. How can listeners learn more about you?
Yeah, my personal pages as well. Samuel Douglas White on Facebook and LinkedIn. Sam Diego 20 on Instagram. And if you want my business, the Pivotal Investment is what it is on Instagram. You can find it on Facebook as well. So
awesome. You said Sam Diego. I like
Sam
that.
Diego 20 is my personal.
I like
That's
that.
it.
I like that.
Thank you.
Sam from San Diego. Okay,
That's
nice,
it.
nice play on words
Cool.
there, by the way.
Yeah, it is. That's clever.
That is
Oh yeah,
clever.
go on my website,
Yeah.
zonticventures.com. I forgot.
Oh yeah,
Gotta do
yeah.
that.
So
I
we'll
can't
put
believe
links
that.
to all of that in the show notes. So Zontic Ventures, if you're watching this on YouTube, you've got his logo and the name right behind you. Difficult one to spell, so that's why we put stuff like that in the show notes. So, all right, guys. Well, hey, thanks a lot for your time today, and that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Hey, if you like that episode, make sure to subscribe. But more importantly, if you haven't joined our multifamily educational community yet, which we call the Tribe of Titans, you are missing out. Get 30 days free by clicking the link in the description to this episode, or go to thetribeoftitans.info, and we'll see you there.